All right, today we are doing Chapter 2, Lesson 8. We're talking about simple interest today. This is going to call back on some stuff that we learned in the first few lessons and is going to be real world applicable. So when we talk about interest, anybody have any idea what the definition of interest is? Raymond.
When, let's say, like, you borrow money and you don't pay it back on time, it's only builds up and you have to pay more.
Okay.
Like when you want to do something when someone offers you something and then you're like, oh, I'm interested.
No, we're talking about money.
Two interests. Either when you invest, like put money into something and it grows over time, and when you come back to it, you have more money. Or when you take out some money from like the bank or something, like Raymond said, if you don't pay it on time, interest starts to form, which is extra money you have to pay, like a late fee.
Okay. So interest basically is that if you deposit money into an account or you invest it into like a business or something, they'll tell you this much percent per year is what you would get on top of your investment. And you'd have to leave it there for a certain amount of years. In the flip side is if you use like a credit card or you take out a loan, you buy a house or a car, you're taking out a home loan or a car loan, there is interest on top of it. They're not just going to give you the money to pay for it and you pay it back and they're good. They're going to want extra money for letting you borrow that money. And there's a percentage that goes on top of that. Okay? Your vocab terms are principal and simple interest. Let's go over principal really quick. Principal is the amount of money that you either deposit or you borrow. So again, if we're talking about you earning money, the money you put into the bank or into an account is the principal in that case. Or if we're talking about borrowing money or using a credit card, that is the money you borrow. So if I use a credit card, you guys understand credit cards are basically borrowing money, right?
Yeah.
When you use a credit card, you have to pay it back plus interest. Unless you pay it off immediately. Every time you use a credit card, you're paying more than what you use. So, quick example. Let's say I want to spend $100 and I use my credit card. Interest, just so you guys put this in your notes, interest is usually compounded every year. You get paid out every year or you get charged every year. Okay? So let's say I use my credit card today, I buy something that's $100. I don't pay it off for a whole year. Most credit cards right now have a 26% interest, which means next year when I pay it off, I'm paying $126 because I didn't pay it off. Unless I pay it off immediately or within a certain time, then I'll be paying less, right? The more you spend, the more interest you accrue. The more you deposit, the more money or interest you get paid onto your account. So today what we're going to do is figure out how you get that interest. Again, principal is how much money you deposit or you borrow. Interest is how much money you're either going to be making on that deposit or how much extra money you're going to be paying because you borrowed that money. Okay? The formula is simple. It's 4 letters. I equals PRT. And we're going to be putting in something for each thing. Anybody have any idea what the I stands for? Quiet hands. We just went over it. Interest. So again, how much money you're going to be making or how much money you're going to be paying for borrowing that money. How much money you get paid on top of what you deposited or how much you're going to be paying for using that money. Any idea what the P stands for, ladies and gentlemen? Principal. How much money you borrowed or how much money you deposited to begin with. Okay? Then the 2 other letters, probably a throw up here, a toss up. Anybody have any idea what the R would stand for? It is rate. Rate deals with how much percentage you are going to be charged or how much percentage you're going to be paid out. When you get a credit card, it tells you there's a certain APR. That's your rate, your annual percentage rate. It tells you how much you're going to be paying on top of it for using that credit card. Okay? Or if you buy a car or if you buy a house, it tells you your rate is this, your loan rate is this. Okay? That means you're paying that much percent of the price that you borrowed on top of it. And then T would stand for, anybody have any wild guess what T would stand for? Time. How long it takes you to pay it off, or how long it takes you to leave it in that account and get money. So the longer, so double-edged sword here. If you are depositing money and you're earning the money for leaving your money in an account, the longer you leave it in there, the more money you make. On the flip side, if you're borrowing that money, the longer it takes for you to pay it back, the more money you're end up paying back over time. Okay? So, let's break this down even further. Let's go to an example. An example here would be Mrs. Ramirez is investing $400. So this is going to be the very first thing we need to do. Is she borrowing money or is she depositing money? The word investing. She's putting it into an account. So make sure you guys put that in your notes. The word investing shows up, that means that they're going to be making money on top of their money. She's putting $400 into an account or investing it in a company or something like that, depending on what the question says. Right here it says a savings account. So she's depositing or investing $400 into a savings account at a simple interest rate of 2%. So that means every year that it stays in that account, she's going to get 2% of her money paid on top of it. She wants to purchase a laptop. She plans on investing the money for 18 months. Okay, and this is where we have to think critically. So, we don't know her interest. So, I equals PRT, and I'm spacing it out because I'm going to be erasing and putting them in their place. We know what her principal was, right? How much money did she deposit into that account? $400. What was her rate? How much is she going to make on that account? 2%. Ladies and gentlemen? Okay, but that percentage has to be written as a what, ladies and gentlemen? So 2% as a decimal would be? So again, let me break this down. When I multiply this by this, the 400 by 0.02, it's basically me finding out what 2% of 400 is. What method is that, ladies and gentlemen?
The decimal method.
That's the decimal method. Because again, she gets paid 2% of the 400 every year that she leaves it in the account. The time is going to tell us how long she's getting it for. But again, they told us 18 months. And this is where we have to think critically on our math. How many months are in a year, ladies and gentlemen? So 12 months is a year. She's leaving it in for 18 months, right? So the reason why I set it up as a fraction is because not always is it going to be this simple, okay? But if I were to divide 18 by 12, I would actually get a simple answer, wouldn't I? 18 months out of a year, because 1 year is 12 months, that gives me 1.5. So she's leaving it in there for a year and a half, right? In this case, I can totally just change that to 1.5 because it's going to be easy math. If she were to leave that in there for 17 months, let's use that as an example. I would do 17 divided by 12, and I get this monster. Yeah, I can't round this. I can't do anything like that. So this is where I don't want to use a decimal yet. And I'll explain that later how I would do this, okay? So the 18 months is a year and a half exactly. Exact math. So then I can use 1.5 instead of 18 over 12 if I want. So again, if you have a time period that when you divide it, it actually closes out at an actual terminating decimal, you can use it. If it's a repeating decimal, don't use it. We're going to use fractions instead. And I know some of you guys are like, oh man, we're using fractions. It's not that hard, and I'll show you why. Okay? So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to find out what 2% of 400 is. Then we're going to multiply that by 1.5 because that's how long she's leaving it in there, a year and a half. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 400 times 0.02, which represents my 2%. So if she left it in there for 1 year, she's making $8 per year on top of it. That's it. Not a lot, but hey, it's free money, right? But she left it in there for a year and a half, or 1.5. So her account's going to make how much money after a year and a half, ladies and gentlemen?
$12.
$12. So her interest, or her simple interest, is $12. So then when she takes her money out of the account, she'll be taking out $412 instead of the $400 she deposited. Okay? Not a whole lot of interest. Remember, interest makes it bigger when you have more money to deposit in there. Okay? So if you deposit way more money, 2% is going to be a lot bigger of a payback because there's more money in there.
Would you just do that to show her work on the homework?
Yep. You would do this. So she would be making $12 after 18 months, which not a lot. It's less than $1 a month when you really think about it. So probably not worth it. Okay. Let's use this example. So Arnold is going to deposit or put $580 into a savings account. Is he borrowing money or is he depositing money, ladies and gentlemen? So he's going to be making money on his account, if they will let us get back to the whiteboard. So again, what was the formula again, ladies and gentlemen? Refer to your notes.
PR, price, rate, time.
PRT, price, rate, principal, rate, and time. He is depositing how much money, ladies and gentlemen? $580. That's our principal. So he's depositing $580 into an account that will pay 3% simple interest per year. So my rate would be what? Instead of 3%, it would be 0.03. Remember, our percentage will jump 2 decimals to the left, which would make this 0.03. If you accidentally wrote 0.3, you're actually taking how much percent?
30%.
You would figure out 30% interest, which is insane because no one's going to give you 30% interest. Just a heads up. Okay, and he's going to leave this in, and they want us to figure out each amount of time. Okay, so the first one is he's going to leave this in there for 5 years. He's going to deposit this money, and he's not going to touch it for 5 years. So T would be, ladies and gentlemen, just 5. When it's a full year, it's just that number. Okay. When it's something less than a year or a partial year, that's when we're going to either use decimals or fractions. In this case, it's a full year, full 5 years. So all we need to do is the following. Clear our calculators first. 580 times 0.03. This will give us the interest after 1 year. So he's making $17 and, ladies and gentlemen, 4D, 40, because the 0 gets added at the end. It's not $17.04. That's $17.40. So he's making $17.40 every year, which again doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, if you have that money and you don't need it, might as well just deposit it and let it make money, right? But he's leaving it in there for 5 years. So times 5, he's going to make $87 on that deposit after 5 years. So money he didn't need, he just put away, put it in an account. When he decides to come back after 5 years to take it out, he'll have $87 extra. Now, this is where we need to read our questions carefully. 1, are they asking what the interest is? Because if they're asking for the interest, then my answer is he's making $87. His interest is $87. If they're asking how much money is he going to pull out of that account, how much money would he be pulling out of that account, ladies and gentlemen?
580 plus 80.
Mm-hmm.
So 660.
So you would add the interest on top of the original deposit. So he would then, in 5 years, be withdrawing $667. What he originally deposited, his original principal, plus the interest. Okay?
I know you just said it, but what's the question? It says if you want to add. Like, if you add, what does it say?
What do you mean if we want to add?
Like, it says what's the interest, and then you tell me the answer, but what's the other one?
I'm confused.
He's asking, what does it have to ask you for you to add the interest with
So here we read the whole question. How much interest will he earn in each amount of time? So this case, they only wanted the what?
Interest.
They only wanted the interest. So in 5 years, he would make $87. And so they put in a sentence, Arnold will earn $87 in interest in 5 years. Now, if the question asked, what would his total amount, like how much money would he have total after 5 years? Then you add the 580 to whatever the interest was, whatever he made, which was 87. So after 5 years, his account would have $667 in it.
Would they ask for either one of those, or could they ask for just
They could ask for both. They could ask for one. They could ask, yeah. So,
none? 'Cause
well, no, they're not going to ask for one.
No, none. For like the principal rate and time.
They're gonna.
Would
Well,
they ask for just that?
no. They'll ask for either the interest or the total in their account or both. Okay, let's do another one. So now same principal, same rate, but 6 months instead. This is where the fractions. Actually, no. This isn't where the fractions are gonna help. This one's one of the. I'm gonna use a different method after this, or a different example. So remember, principal pays out or interest pays out every what, ladies and gentlemen? Year. So if they only did 6 months, that's the same as saying 6 out of 12, which is the same thing as saying what? Hang on, you're jumping one step ahead. What's 6/12 as a simplified fraction, ladies and gentlemen?
1/2.
Which is half. It's half a year, right? If I were to put that in a calculator, if I were to do 1 divided by 2 in a calculator, what would I get, ladies and gentlemen? What's half as a fraction? Or as a decimal? 0.5. If I divide 1 by 2, it's 0.5, half a year. So in this case, I can just do this. So again, when they don't give you a whole year, if you can divide it down to a perfect decimal that ends, cool. If it's not, then I have to show you what we need to do. So 580. Let me clear my calculator. Always clear your calculator, because some calculators don't just start new when you push new buttons. They actually keep going based on your old stuff, and you're going to get wrong answers. So clear your calculator. 580. Again, times 0.03 tells you how much interest he would make in a year, right? But he didn't put it in there for a whole year, did he? He put it in there for half a year. So now I'm multiplying it by 0.5. So basically I'm taking half of it away. So that's how much money he made in 6 months if he just left it there. What money is this? $70. Remember, if there's not a second digit after decimal, we annex a 0. So this is $8.70 that he would be making after just half a year or 6 months. Okay? Now I'm going to take one that is not from the book and explain this one. So let me erase this. Let's say the same principal, the same rate. Don't touch that. Same principal, the same rate, but now he's going to leave it in there for 17 months. Okay, let's think critically. How long is 17 months? Talk with your group really quick. Talk with your group. How many years and months is that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's come back. How long is 17 months?
1.5 years.
That's not 1.5. That's not a year and a half. Okay, so it's a year and 5 months. Basically, what you guys did was this. 17 over 12, right? Because there's 1 year is 12 months. If I do this, 1 year, 12 goes into 17 once. That's 1 5/12, ladies and gentlemen. This represents 1 year and 5 months because a whole year is 12 months. Okay? But if I were to do the 5/12 in my calculator as a decimal, I'm going to get this monster. And I don't want to round. I don't want to round it. I don't want to round it. And I don't want to have to copy and paste this in. So this is what I would do. So I'm going to show you guys what I would do here. I'm still going to keep this as 17 over 12. Just so you guys know. Because it was 17 months, right? And it pays out in a year. So each year is 12 months. I'm going to multiply this part first. So this is 580 times 0.03. Gives me $17.03. I can either, one, write that down somewhere, because you're going to want to do the other math first. I'm going to write this like this, okay? Because the issue is going to be here. I cannot do this. Why can I not do this, ladies and gentlemen? Who can tell me why I cannot do that right there?
Because you can't multiply a decimal into a fraction.
There's rules. There's rules in play. What would I need?
I think you're gonna have to make it into fractions.
I'd have to make one of those numbers into a fraction, right? Because I can't multiply fractions unless they're both. But can I make 17.40 into a fraction? Okay, so this is okay. This is where we run into that wall, and this is where we go back on our previous knowledge. Technically, no, I can't make this into a fraction because it's a decimal. But like I said, I can make the other one into a decimal. But this is why I said write this down. I can't do this times the other one. I have to do this. 17 divided by 12 equals this. And again, I said I can't what? I can't round. Can you type that up into a calculator normally? This is why I said write the other number down, because now what I'm going to do is multiply it by 17.40. Now I get a perfect answer for my number, and I'm done. If I did it the other way around and I try to do 17.40 and then write out this monster up here, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So this is why we have to do those steps and like write this down. So again, what I did was this. I multiplied these two numbers first, and I got this here, okay? And then I wrote this down so I remembered, because I need to multiply it by whatever this equals, right? That, 17 divided by 12, was this monster. Was this. Since it's already in my calculator now I can just multiply it by 17.4, because the order in which we multiply doesn't matter, right? And there's my answer. If I were to leave that in there for just 17 months, they'd make $24.65. If I try to do it the other way around, I'll go back to it. If I try to do this times and then figure out what 17 divided by 12 is that... Oh, I actually did get it right. Cool. All right. Hang on. The only reason this worked is because this calculator on my computer is built to do PEMDAS, so it worked perfectly. However, those little calculators, I'm going to tell you right now, it will mess you up. Those calculators, depending on what setting it is, it will mess up. So I actually got really lucky here doing that. Yes? You can't, because you're on a test. You can't do that. On your homework, totally. Okay, so good question. On your homework, go for it. When I build the test, I'll try not to do one like this, so you guys don't have to run into that issue. Because that's not a you guys can't do it issue. That's a do you have the proper equipment to do it issue, and that's not fair to you guys. So when I build the test, I won't do something like this, just so you guys know. So on your homework, yes, because you guys have the same calculator I do, and this will work. Okay, so good catch. So yeah, we actually did this correctly. But the other thing you could have done was still do 17 divided by 12, leave that in your calculator and multiply it by this. Okay? All right, now let's get into not making money, and let's get into owing money, because that's the flip side. So again, if you borrow money, that's still principal. However much money you borrow is principal. The same way we just deposit money into an account, whatever you borrow is still the principal. So for example, Rondell's parents borrowed $6,300 from a bank to buy a new car, okay? The interest rate is 6% per year, and you're going to notice something really quick, and this is real life. When you deposit money into an account, that percentage is really, really small. But as soon as you start borrowing money, that percentage goes up because they want to make money. So be aware of that. So they're going to be charged 6% per year on the interest on this, and they're asking how much simple interest. So they're not asking how much total they're paying back. They just want to know how much extra money is going to be charged them if they take 2 years to repay their loan. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, what was the formula for interest again? Give me the letters. Go.
I equals P
Okay, I said give me the letters.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Now, give me what they stand for. Okay, wait for the cursor. In. Oh, my cursor's not over there yet, guys. Okay, let's try this again. I know it's okay. Here, I'll use this one. Better? Okay, go.
Equals principal.
Okay, some of us said percent. It's principal.
Rate.
Okay, what's missing here? Multiplied by.
Times.
Multiplied by time. Not times, time. Okay, so what was their principal? How much did they borrow to begin with?
6,000.
I did not say, ladies and gentlemen.
6,300.
Okay, so the principal is $6,300 is what they borrowed. What was their rate? Who can raise your hand and tell me what their rate was? Okay, so they're paying 6% extra per year that they don't pay it off. 6% as a decimal, ladies and gentlemen.
0.06.
And then time. It did say on there that they are planning on paying it back in how much time, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, so no partial years, just 2 years. So what am I putting in here? Just putting 2. Okay, one person from each group, come grab one of these calculators, please. And with your group, figure out how much money they're going to be paying extra for borrowing this car loan. How much? So that's what the question's asking is, how much extra are they paying? Be aware that they're still paying back the $6,300 that they borrowed, but they're going to be paying on top of that the interest. The question, however, said they just want to know what the interest is. Okay? So how much extra are they paying? So with your group, solve it. Someone's already out. You gotta wait. Yeah, but Jaylene's out. Is how much? Oh, we'll find out right here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, eyes are up here. Okay, so $6,300 was what they initially borrowed, right? Their rate was 6% interest, which is 0.06. If I hit enter right now, this is how much they would be paying per year in interest. But how long did they say they're going to take?
2 years.
So I'm going to multiply it by 2. So if they take 2 years to pay back this car loan, their interest is $756, which means that's how much extra they're paying. Now, that's all the question asked, but if the question asks what is their total car payment, like what are they paying back, you're going to add the original that they borrowed to it. This is how much they would be paying total. Because again, they have to pay back what they borrowed plus the interest. So if it asks what the total payment is, what they would totally pay at the end of it. In this case, if we look at here, this just asks how much is the interest. That's all we have to give them. So it says here, Rondell's parents will pay $756 in interest in 2 years. Okay, so a sentence. But if the question asked how much money are they paying back total, then it would be $7,056 is what they would be paying back total for borrowing that money. Okay? All right, you and your group are going to go ahead and do this one. Okay. And I'm going to see if you guys can do this one. Derek's dad bought new tires for $900 using a credit card. Let's pause. The $900 is the what?
The principal.
Cool. So, let's start a new page. So, ladies and gentlemen, give me the letters. Go. The principal, again, was how much? Okay. We're going to put money. $900 to buy new tires, but they use a credit card. So are they gaining money or are they being charged money? Okay. His card has an interest rate of 19%. That means every year that it's not paid off, 19% of that debt gets added onto it. So what would 19% be in our... Wait. What is it replacing? Or the what letter? Okay, but now, group 5, 19% will need to be written as a... So what would it be, group 5? So again, our interest rate was 19%. Jump the decimal 1, 2 to the left. That's 0.19. And then the time. They're saying that he's going to take 1 month to pay it off. Okay, this is the challenge part. How would I write 1 month in my equation?
1 over 12.
1 over 12. If I put 1 there, that means 1 year. Okay? 1/12 means 1 month. But, ladies and gentlemen, if I do 1 divided by 12, I get this monstrosity. So, let me show you guys what I would do. Actually, you guys can help me out. You guys have calculators. What's 900 times 0.19?
171.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is it?
171.
Okay. So, if he were to buy tires and not pay it off for a year, $171 is how much he would be paying in interest, okay? But he wants to pay it off in a month. Now, last time we ran into this issue, I couldn't make them both fractions, right? Because one was a decimal. This time, I can totally do this, but watch what happens when I do this. That 171 needs to be a what, ladies and gentlemen? Not a decimal, huh? So I make it a fraction by putting it over. Leo. When I multiply straight across, look what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. 171 times 1 is 171. 1 times 12 is 12. Ladies and gentlemen, basically all I'm doing is dividing this by 12. So, when I do the 171, I just divide by 12. Because it's taking him 1 month instead of the 12 months, right? So he's only going to pay $14.25 interest if he pays it off in 1 month.
I did 1 divided by 12, and I got the big number, and then I got times that way.
Or you can do that like what we did last time. Okay? You guys can also do that too, where you guys did the 900 times 0.19, right? 171. You write that down somewhere. You do 1 divided by 12 equals this, and then you know to multiply that by the 171 that you guys got earlier. You should still get the same answer. So it's one of the two things. Okay? Before you guys go, your homework, read the directions. What are they asking for, ladies and gentlemen? They want the simple interest. Nobody should be packing up because the alarm means what? So everybody's eyes should still be up here. Next time, I'm going to take points away. Put it down. They're asking for the simple interest earned, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, nearest cent. That means after a decimal, how many numbers should there be? 2 after a decimal. So not the nearest dollar, the nearest cent. So you're going to look at the third number after a decimal, and that's going to tell you to round up or down, okay? If necessary. Some of them may not need it. But if you have a number after you're done that has a bunch of decimals, you're looking at the third number after decimal, round up or down. And this is basically just going to tell you this. That's the principal, that's the rate, that's the time. You're finding the interest, okay? All right, and remember, you guys are either doing odds or evens or all, and that's it. You may begin packing up now.